Hey everybody, how's it going? Sudden here. So I wanted to talk about a topic that I've been thinking about a lot, and that would be burning out. Now, I'm very experienced with burning out, sadly, whether it be, weight loss, gaining muscle, and language learning. And I'm going to be mainly focused on language learning, especially in the Japanese area. But this can really apply to most things except for minus a few things I'm going to say. But yeah, so I've had about 375 hours in the past 3 months, give or take. And it's not been easy at all times, and I do have some temptations to burn out some days, but I've only recently just realized how I can kind of break through that plateau and just keep on going. And so yeah, I want to talk about and give some advice to people who might be going through the same thing as me. So first off, I want to give a general definition for burning out. So Merriam-Webster defines it as to become exhausted, especially from overwork or overuse, which I think kind of fits the bill. It's kind of something that happens when you've just been doing something too long. You've been maybe, going way too hard on something, and you experience this strong urge to quit. You're just really done with what you're doing. And now I think we have to talk about the first thing, which is going to be recognizing when burnout is going to happen. This is key if you want to keep on doing something. Like I said, whether it's fitness, whether it's language learning, there's going to be signs that you can tell when you're burning out, and you need to recognize that, and you need to know how to combat that. So first of all, let's talk about ADHD. ADHD is very much linked with burning out. People with ADHD, they'll hyper focus on something, right? So they will, let's say, do language learning. They'll put in 5 hours every single day because they really want this and they want it now. ADHD people, they crave that kind of dopamine hit right now. And that's not to say I think ADHD people have it harder. I think it's quite the opposite. I think you can do better in certain areas. But one thing is that you gotta watch the warning signs for some of this stuff. So I think my first tip is don't attack it all at once, guys. I've done this before, trust me, I'm guilty of this, but don't do this. If I wanted to run something like a 5K, I have never ran in my life, I'm not going to go out there and immediately try to run, 3 miles right off the bat, guys. I'm going to be puking. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to quit because it's not enjoyable. And it's not that it needs to be insanely enjoyable, but you need to feel like you're making progress. And if you just immediately start killing yourself right off the bat, it's not going to feel good. So I think that's my first tip, guys. Just, if you haven't started Japanese, go small and just work your way up. If you've already have started and maybe you're feeling some of this burnout already, maybe take a little bit off your plate and try to digest that. And then once you get a hang of that, then you can stack up more. Now let's go into some categories which might cause people to feel this burnout and stuff like that. I think it would come from a lack of progress, a lack of variety, a lack of motivation, or a lack of faith. Now let's talk about that first category I mentioned, which is lack of progress. A lot of people think fluency is something that can be measured. It can't. Even in your native language, there's going to be weeks where you can't find words for certain stuff. And it's just whether it depends on the day, the sleep you get, a lot of these factors, how you're feeling, just your brain in general, how it's reacting. You can't measure this. It's not something that you can step on a scale and it'll read you your fluency number, It's a lot of people think that there's fluency and there's not fluent. And in order to get past this, you just got to realize that I might not understand this video, but I might understand this video. I might go to output one of these days and I find that I can't even say anything. Now, on to my next bullet point under this is push harder. Push yourself harder. If you are not motivated, if you find that you're doing only like 2 hours a day and are upset you're not making progress, if you have it in you, try doing 3 hours. Try doing, shifting your attention somewhere else. See if you can get better, and that might push you in order to make more progress, and that might motivate you to go forward. It's like rolling a boulder down a hill. It's going to pick up steam as you get better, especially in that beginner curve, guys. It sucks not being able to understand anything, and you're going to get so much more enjoyment out of it once you can understand at least half of what you're seeing. And trust me, it doesn't take that long to get to a point where you can understand a decent amount to understand the content. It's just hard to understand the nuance of it. Now, I think most people would benefit in improving their focus and improving their schedule. Don't do all your immersion at night. If you do all your immersion at like right before you're going to go to bed, guys, you're going to be tired. If you're doing your immersion in your bed, your brain's going to be shutting off. You're at a point, especially when you just wake up, your brain's not in an optimal position to be intaking this stuff. It doesn't want to learn information right now. It's trying to shut down. So a lot of people delay immersion till the end of the day, and then they'll do it all, and then they'll realize, I'm not getting anywhere. It's because you're doing it at 12 at night and your sleep schedule's horrible. Your brain doesn't want to take anything in. It just needs sleep right now. So improving focus too. Like right after if you drink caffeine, try putting your caffeine right before your immersion. It sounds dumb, but it's going to help you be able to focus on your content a little bit more. It's going to help you pick out a few words. You can tell, and trust me, you'll get better at it, but you'll be watching something and you'll notice, oh, I'm white noising it. I'm not understanding it. This is just going through one ear and out the other. You need to be looking at words. You need to make sure that you are hearing them and that they are registering in your head as something. Don't try to translate it. Like, I don't think you should be translating everything to English, but just stand there and make sure, try to like imagine the words in your head as it's going on. Another thing is try working on your weaknesses. If I'm really bad at reading, read more, you know? If I was somebody who wasn't making any progress and I'm doing only like if I'm only watching YouTube videos, then I would tell them to pick up something like a visual novel, pick up a book, pick up something like that and try reading. If reading is not your strong suit, I think you would be very surprised. Most people could benefit a lot more from a well-rounded schedule than they would from, doing more of something. So if I do 2 hours of Anki, like quit that. Start doing maybe 30 minutes of Anki and then replacing that rest of that time with reading. Even if you suck at it, trust me, that's where you make the most gains, is doing something you suck at and getting better at it. All right, guys, now my last thing might sound a little weird, but it's diet and exercise. This is something that is so important that not a lot of people talk about when it comes to language learning. Guys, you are taking on the monumental task of learning thousands of words so that you can master a language. You are now a sort of athlete when it comes to trying to learn stuff. So what you need here is you need good diet and exercise. What you put into your body is going to affect your brain, and it's going to affect your memory. It's going to affect your learning, guys. Trust me, a high sugar diet can lead to excess glucose in the brain. That literally impacts your memory in a negative way, and you don't want that. So put in good stuff into your body, get exercise, touch grass, step outside, If you're sitting on your ass all day expecting to learn a language, you'll be able to do it, trust me. But at the same time, guys, you will get a lot more out of it if you treat your body right, and then it's going to treat you right when you want to learn things. So yeah, that's what I think. Try to get a walk in, try to go outside, try to get some exercise if you can, and just eat well, healthy, and drink some water. It's not that hard, but a lot of people will struggle with it, and it's just a balanced diet, which I think is a lot more important. You don't always have to eat clean, but I think that's a lot more important than people realize. The next category is lack of variety, guys. This applies to stuff like immersion. So don't be afraid to drop content. If I don't like the show I'm watching, if I don't like the visual novel I'm playing, if I don't like the book I'm reading, don't watch it. Do not force yourself to watch something. Immediately stop and find something else. There's too many shows, there's too much anime, there's too much everything out there to justify spending your time on one that sucks. So just, don't be afraid to switch it up. If I don't like something, I don't want to just finish it just for the sake of finishing it. And another thing is change what you're watching. If I only watch anime and I'm burning out, stop watching anime. Go watch J-dramas, go watch a Netflix show, Go watch YouTube videos. If I only watch YouTube videos, I might want to switch to something else. Something like that. If I only do, video immersion, switch to reading like I mentioned earlier. Just don't be afraid to try new stuff, because that variety is what's going to keep it interesting. I don't force myself to do a certain amount of anything, because some days I just don't feel like reading, and some days I only feel like reading. So that's why I switch it up, because it's a lot easier to hit your goals per day if you're able to give yourself variety and freedom. And that leads me to the third category, which is lack of motivation. This one's a pretty big one. I think that there's certain things you can do to curb that lack of motivation, to kind of get yourself wanting to immerse in the language more. And a big one I've noticed is create friends who are also trying to achieve the same goal. Whether this is, this applies for most things. But if I want to learn Japanese, I'm going to try to find friends that can keep me accountable and that are also trying to achieve the same goals, and make sure they're not people who are going to, discourage you. Like, there's certain, communities out there who I think can be quite toxic, especially in the language learning community. But just find friends who want to see you succeed, and it'll be so cool to watch them succeed as you succeed as well, and to keep each other accountable. And another thing is making friends with natives as well. Talking to natives is great. It can also be counterintuitive if you meet the wrong natives and they're very mean to you or something like that. But assuming you're on the classic Tandem or HelloTalk or something like that, talking to natives can be great. If you enjoy their, talking to them, and you enjoy, just being around them, it's going to be cool, because then you're going to want to immerse, because you're going to be like, I want to understand them. I have friends, I want to understand them, so that's why I'm going to try to learn more of this language. And it's going to give you a reason to keep on pushing forward. And trust me with this, I have certain friends that I made along the way that I think have really pushed me to keep on going. And another thing is, try to make a hobby in your target language. It could be a new hobby, preferably a new hobby, or it could just be a hobby you already have if you want. As an example, I'm really into cars. I'm really into, of course, fitness and stuff like that. And I think that it's super cool if you can meet at a crossroads in your language and be able to kind of bring that stuff into Japanese. Because if I'm going to sit here and binge videos for watching something on, bodybuilding videos on YouTube, you can do that in Japanese. And it might not be as interesting at first, but trust me, if you find that YouTuber who just kind of, hits the spot when it comes to satisfying your hobby and stuff like that, you are really going to notice that you want to immerse in it. You want to, and especially making a new hobby, it's really cool because you'll find that you actually know more words in Japanese that relates to that hobby than you do in English. I was really into sake brewing and the process of making sake for a while because I thought it was interesting. And I know how to say more words about it in Japanese, but I can hardly talk about it in English because I don't know what some of these words mean. And so I think it's pretty interesting if you are able to do that. You will find your interest goes up significantly. All right, guys, on to the last thing, which is lack of faith. First of all, trust the process. This is a lot easier said than done, but just trust me here. If you trust the process, it'll become so much easier. It's so hard because certain people think it's not working. Guys, just put in the hours. Once you hit, 300, 400, 500, and it keeps on going up, you will get better. You'll notice it, but it takes time. You might not notice it tomorrow, but it will eventually get better. And that's something you need to know. Just trust the process and know that it will happen if I put in the time. Don't focus on fluency. Do not focus on fluency. It's so stupid that people have this idea that fluency is everything. How I got fluent in 2 weeks, how I did all these YouTubers that are just pumping out this bullshit content. Don't worry about it, guys. People think it's fluency and not fluent. Guys, it's such a spectrum here. Even people who are completely fluent, they lack the skills in certain areas that maybe somebody else might have that's a little bit worse than them. It's just focus on what you want to do, and you will slowly become more and more proficient in the language, and you will slowly climb. Don't use stuff like JLPT levels to gauge where you're at. Do not do that. That's the worst thing you can do for you. Another thing, make smaller goals. There is no reason that you have to set your goal to fluency. Start smaller. Maybe I want to understand 1,000 words in Anki. All right, start with that. That's perfect. Maybe I want to say, for me, I wanted to understand the movie Your Name. I wanted to be able to watch that without having to look anything up. And towards the whole getting back into Japanese after burning out and putting in more hours and eventually getting to the point where I watched the movie and I was like, I just understood this entire thing in Japanese. It's a great feeling to have some of these smaller goals that you can kind of digest a lot easier than just I want to be fluent in a year, and that's my goal. It'll make it so much better for you. All right, another thing. You aren't alone in this. A lot of people are struggling with the same thing you're struggling with. There are millions of people, like, just even in America, who are like English trying to learn Japanese. It's been done so many times, and you got to think about it. I'm not the only one that's struggling. Everybody, even people that are like Dogen or like Matt vs. Japan or all these people, they've at one point were in your shoes. And the only difference between you and them is they put in the hours. That's the only thing. And the last thing is, don't overthink it. Don't overthink stuff. If you're thinking, I'm not becoming fluent because my method is flawed and I need to optimize this and I need to do more Anki and I need to switch from sentence cards to vocab cards to doing this, guys, just do it. Just like shut up and do it. Like, it's going to be so much easier, and the process is going to go so much quicker if you don't blame your gains on what you're doing. It's going to become so much easier to just crank it out. Don't worry about, do you enjoy watching videos? Do you enjoy reading? Do you enjoy doing this? And you're doing all of it and you're just kind of working. It's like, yeah, there's things you can do to optimize it. But if I enjoy watching YouTube all day, do that, because anything is better than nothing. Consistency is preferred to quitting. So just do it. And then the last thing I have, the last piece of advice, if you don't fall into any of this and you don't like any of these tips, is just quit. Guys, like, it sounds wild, but like, Japanese is always going to be there. Japanese is always going to be ready for you, but you might not be ready for it. So just at the end of the day, if you are so burnt out, you can't do anything, you are killing yourself trying to finish your Anki, you don't want to do, like, you don't even want to do immersion, like, pick it back up in a year. Pick it back up in a couple months. Like, it's not going anywhere. If most people don't have to learn Japanese, if it's a hobby and you're not enjoying it, what's the point in doing it? Like, you want to look cool? Like, okay, don't do that. Just, trust me, I've done this before. I've been at a point in my life where I was too busy with doing schoolwork and stuff like that, and it was becoming too much, and I just said, you know what, not right now. And I picked it up right after high school, and then I started going with it, and it was so much easier. So trust me, there's certain times in your life that definitely I wouldn't consider picking something up, and that's all right. You shouldn't blame yourself if you have to quit. Don't feel like you failed. Just know it's always there to come back to it. All right, guys, thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed at least some of these tips and are able to apply them. I hope to make more content like this in the future. So yeah, I hope you guys come back and keep on checking up with me. All right, peace out, guys. I'm Sutton. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.